Hi, how you doing? Justin here, filling in for the theory godfather today. And in this little lesson, I want to discuss minor scales. There's been a lot of confusion on the forum, and I've seen lots of comments on different videos that I've done with people getting a bit confused about the different types of minor scale. The major scale is pretty obvious. There's the major scale and that's it. When we start talking about minor scales, we discover there's the natural minor scale, the pure minor scale, the Aeolian mode, the harmonic minor, the melodic minor, the Phrygian mode, which is type of minor, and the Dorian. So how come there's all these different minor scales, and where did they come from, and when do you use them, and what do you need to know? So that's what this video is about. So I'm going to tell you a little story, which is kind of not really the truth, but I'm hoping that it'll help you understand the makeup of these different minor scales and when you might use them. So the first thing that you need to understand is the pure minor scale, which is the same as the natural minor scale and the Aeolian mode. And this is kind of the first minor scale that was used way back in kind of Greek times. And it sounds like this. I'm just going to do all of these examples in the key of A. I'm going to play an A minor chord, and then I'm going to play the A pure minor scale, which is the same as C major scale. It has the same notes as C major scale, but it's the A pure minor scale. So here's the chord, and here's the scale. So that's the first type of minor scale that existed, and it was the one that was used for a long time. Now, before we get on to the next stage, you need to understand another thing called a cadence, or more specifically, a perfect cadence. And a perfect cadence is a 5 chord going to the 1 chord of any given key. In a major key, if we translate this back to A, the key of A major, it would be the chord E7 going to A. And in most classical music, this was how a song finished, or a section finished. And you can hear when I play it in a sec, it really sounds like it's resolved. It finishes. So here we go. This is an E7 to an A. You hear it all the time. It's really common. It's this sound. You can hear it really sounds kind of final, finished. It's perfect cadence. Now, the reason that works is this E7 leading to the A, particularly this note, the G sharp note, which is part of the E7 chord, going. And that's called, the G sharp note is called the leading note. And it's a really important part to understand. Now, the reason that's so important is because I already mentioned that the A minor scale, the A pure minor scale, it has the same notes as C major scale. And if we look at the chords in the key of C, but we start on the first chord being A, but it's the same chords that was in the key of C, we'd end up with this sequence, a diatonic sequence, which would be A minor, B half diminished, C, D minor, E minor, and this is important, that's the 5th chord I'm talking about, and this is E minor, F major, G major, and back to A minor. So that's a diatonic sequence in A pure minor, remembering that A pure minor, A natural minor, A Aeolian mode, all the same thing, they have the same notes as C major scale. They're called relative. You call that a relative major and relative minor. So the relative major of A minor is C major, and the relative minor of C major is A minor. Yeah. Now, something that you might want to look at for sure is the website page for this. So I've got all of the stuff that I'm talking about here typed up on the website already. It's a web page called Demystify the Minors. It would be a really good idea to go and look at that page. This video is embedded in that page on the website, so you can watch the video and scroll down and see all of the notes. You'll probably find that very helpful to be able to see these things and see the construction of each of those chords. But what the idea of this video is to give you the kind of the oral content to make sure that your ears understand what I'm talking about or what's written on the page. So that's a cadence, and the 5th chord in that diatonic sequence in A pure minor was E minor. And if we go E minor to A minor, doesn't really sound finished. could keep going somewhere, you know. Could go all sorts of different places. It doesn't have any sort of finality. And what happened was, back in the day, he says, this is not exactly true, but bear with me, that Bach really wanted to get his perfect cadence. He wanted this sound of E7 going to A minor, so he could finish his song, because he wanted it to finish. So what he decided to do was to change the note G, which is the note that makes the E minor, to change it to a G sharp, which meant that that chord, the fifth chord in the key of A minor, could be E7. So he could have the E7 going to A minor. Now that new scale is called the A Harmonic Minor, because it gave him the harmony that he required to make the music that he wanted to play. And this scale sounds like this. This is now the A Harmonic Minor scale. There's the chord. Here's the scale. All well and good. He's got his E7. He changed the scale, and now he had the harmonies going that he wanted to use. Everything was happy. Almost.